Welcome to the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation media briefing. That will be led by the Minister, Dr. Blade Nzimande, and the Deputy Minister, Mr. Phuthi Manamela. These briefings follow the announcement by the State President on regulations for level 1 lockdown, and the department will then be revealing its subsequent regulations that will apply for both the Department of Science and Innovation and the Department of Higher Education and Training. Minister Nzimande will be reading the statement for us, then will be followed by answer and question session from members of the media. My name is Ishmael Mnisi. I'll be assisted by Ishmael Malale, who will be on telephones, and Matikweni Koza, who will be on the WhatsApp group. Please, members of the media are requested to send their messages or inquiries to the WhatsApp group, and also to call using the line that we have already distributed to the members of the media. Thank you very much. I will therefore ask the Minister to read the statement for us. Minister Nzimande, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ishmael. I noticed that if you want to be a government spokesperson, your first name must be Ishmael. Thank you very much. Let me start by greeting our Deputy Minister, Mr. Phuthi Manamela, our two Directors General, Dr. Philip Mjwara and Mr. Gwebs Konde, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. The Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Innovation has been building comprehensive programs, systems, controls through establishment of guidelines, protocols, capacity building at all levels, firmly grounded in the growing body of science and the latest epidemiological data. This is the basis that characterizes our response since the advent of COVID-19 in our country. Both my departments of Science and Innovation and Higher Education and Training took note and took to heart the call by President Cyril Ramaphosa and leading clinical experts that while the rate of infections has slowed, however, with greater liberty in the movement of people, there remains possibilities of community-based and or regional spikes of COVID-19 in the foreseeable future. Let me start by outlining interventions that have been made by the Department of Science and Innovation and its entities in dealing with COVID-19. The Human Sciences Research Council, the HSRC, is in the final stages of preparation for a study to determine the extent of COVID-19 infection in the general population with age-specific prevalence, as determined by seropositivity, meaning giving a positive result in a test of blood serum. The proposed study will use 2 waves of cross-sectional population-based household surveys. The study will be implemented in all the 9 provinces, and the survey will target all locality types, urban areas, rural areas, as well as informal settlements. As a Department of Science and Innovation, we are an active participant in the Health Ministerial Advisory Committee, which is looking at the manufacturing of the COVID-19 vaccines as and when it is found. It is envisaged that the first successful vaccines will be delivered in early 2021. However, the upscaling of the manufacturing pipeline for hundreds of millions or even billions of doses will also require intense collaboration and needs to be done in such a way that it will not compromise the production of other essential vaccines. In order for South Africa to be able to secure early access to and delivery of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines and treatments as soon as they become available, we will be developing and implementing a comprehensive COVID-19 vaccine strategy, which amongst others will ensure that there is sufficient supply of a safe and effective vaccine to achieve population immunity to COVID-19. With limited vaccine manufacturing capacity around the world, South Africa will have to prioritize its own requirements in the interest of securing access to the vaccine as a matter of national security. We'll be expanding the current BioVac operations. This is a company that is majority owned by government through our Department of Science and Innovation. We'll be expanding its operations to produce the drug substance required to act against the COVID-19 virus. BioVac is a public-private partnership company formed by government and the private sector in 2003 to produce local vaccines in South Africa. It predominantly operates in the downstream part of the vaccine manufacturing value chain, with primary activities geared towards formulation and filling of drug products, as well as final product labeling, packaging, and distribution. So our department is very much part of the effort for the supply of the vaccine as and when it becomes available. Through the HSRC and Higher Health, we are carrying out a COVID-19 knowledge and attitude study in young people, and the results of the online survey are almost complete. We will in due course make the outcomes of the study available to the public. We have also converted the existing health and demographic surveillance operations at 3 rural nodes, namely Bushbuck Ridge Local Municipality in Mpumalanga and Capricorn District Municipality in Limpopo and Umkhanyakude District Municipality in KwaZulu-Natal, to incorporate COVID-19 telephonic surveillance and case finding. This is very important, by the way, for purposes of tracking the virus and contributing also to understanding its epidemiology better. The operations cover 300,000 residents in these areas. The surveillance measures the impact of non-pharmaceutical interventions against COVID-19 on rural households and individual mental health, and supports local health authorities in their fight against COVID-19. We'll also be undertaking the wastewater COVID-19 surveillance work at some Gauteng identified nodal points. This will contribute to an early warning system for COVID-19 resurgence and other emerging pathogens. I'm also pleased to say that we have also ensured that we connect all the 320 plus TVET college campuses to the South African National Research Network, SANREN, at 200 Mbps, allowing access to connectivity, optimization, and other services, including post-school infrastructure, data accessibility, monitoring, and provision, particularly useful for working off campus. The work is conducted through the National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure System. The Department of Science and Innovation's branding campaign will, among other achievements, be showcasing its work in response to COVID-19. The department, since its inception with 2 white papers on its journey of developing and coordinating a national system of innovation, will be showcasing some of its achievements, especially its contribution in the work of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope that through these campaigns there will also be a better appreciation of the impact of science, technology, and innovation on our society, and a greater understanding that science saves lives. Update on COVID-19 interventions by the Department of Higher Education and Training. Starting with deaths in the sector due to COVID-19, by the 22nd of September, we had lost 89 members of our public higher education community to deaths from the virus. Of these, 53 are from universities, and that was 44 staff members and 9 students, and 36 from TVET colleges with 11 students and 25 staff members. We mourn these losses of staff and students in our institutions and send our condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of those who have succumbed to the illness. Our sector welcomes the move and the announcement by the President to Alert Level 1, which will now allow for more contact teaching and learning. I would like to express my gratitude to the exemplary leadership provided by President Cyril Ramaphosa and my colleagues at the National Command Council in guiding our work during this difficult time. I also remain humbled by the commitment of all the members of the ministerial task team, which is led by our Deputy Minister Puti Manamela, comprising of, amongst others, the College Principals Organization, Universities South Africa, trade unions, South African Union of Students, and the South African Federation of South African FET College Students, known as SAFETA, to work collaboratively as we have and continue to navigate these uncharted waters presented by the pandemic. I would also like to acknowledge the role played by the leadership of the various trade unions organizing in our sector, in particular NEHAW, SATU, NTEU, PSA, SAPTU, and NAPTOSA. And in this regard also we must salute the frontline workers, who are often the first ones in the line of defense against our people in fighting this pandemic. We would not have made progress without engagement with these stakeholders. As we speak about cooperation and coordination, I urge my 2 departments and their entities to play an active role in the presidential-led district development model and contribute to its success. In this way, our institutions will therefore play a role in skills development and in our innovation-led economic recovery and development. Briefly on higher health, we are proud of the fact that higher health has now capacitated through continuous on-site training over 13,000 frontline staff across our campuses that are working towards assisting COVID-19 response on a daily basis. Furthermore, over 3,200 student and staff volunteers have been trained and capacitated to participate in implementing COVID-19 daily screening, prevention, and education and initiatives. To date, over 12,000 individuals have been trained through scientific knowledge to recognize and appropriately manage COVID-19 pandemic within our post-school education and training sector. Through higher health, we have been monitoring the COVID-19 vulnerabilities in the sector. We do this through the tracking and tracing system with the Department of Health and the National Institute for Communicable Diseases on the positivity rate, incidence rate, infectivity rate across all our campuses in the post-school education and training system. Higher Health, as we reported last time, has also sent out new protocols for managing cluster outbreaks of COVID-19 in educational institutions. There is also the Higher Health Daily Check, which to date has been used by over 5 million as part of the health check screenings that have been administered through this program. Over 1.6 million students and staff across the sector have been using health check on a routine basis before entering the campuses. I'm also pleased to say that Higher Health has also introduced other innovative measures and solutions, the latest being a 24-hour dedicated toll-free higher health student mental health support service run through a dedicated team of experienced psychologists, social workers, counselors in support from South Africa Depression and Anxiety Group. The service supports all of our students and campus communities on mental health challenges, survivors of gender-based violence, and other psychosocial health challenges due to COVID-19. In the last 2 weeks of its launch, Higher Health has successfully assisted over 500 individuals with finding solutions and averting serious, often tragic consequences of mental ill health. I encourage every student to use this toll-free line, 0800 36 36 36. The number again, 0800 36 36 36. Anytime during the day or night, and they must know they are not alone in these challenging times. 2 weeks ago, during my district development model visit to Zululand district in KwaZulu-Natal, where I'm deployed by cabinet, I launched 10 fully furnished mobile clinic units to enhance health services at TVET colleges and community education and training colleges and universities around the country. The fleet will provide primary health care mainly to underserviced or underserved campuses. On NSFAS, I wish to quickly point out that the National Student Financial Aid Scheme opened its 2021 application cycle on the 3rd of August 2020. And this is an important reminder to students that we will be closing applications on the 30th of November. It is therefore important that everyone is able to apply. By the 31st of August, we had already received more than 160,536 applications. But of late, the total to date, as I'm speaking now, NSFAS has received over 300,995 applications. And this number is very encouraging. In an effort to reach out to students who meet the requirements and who are in need of financial assistance, but unable to access NSFAS funding due to lack of internet facilities, or application resources in their areas, the National Youth Development Agency, NYDA, offices nationwide are open to the public. And these offices have been fully operational since the 14th of September 2020. Over 15 Department of Basic Education national teacher centers from various districts and provinces have been made available to be utilized by applicants during this application cycle. Applicants can access these facilities during school hours. And we appreciate this cooperation from our colleague, the Minister of Basic Education, Umam Enje Motshekga. On procurement of devices, across the sector, our monitoring report shows that of the students that indicated they required a digital device, a laptop or a tablet, 68% of the general university student population have actually received this. And as reported earlier, 69% of NSFAS students will be supported to obtain one. Provision of data to university students remains high across the system. On average, the system has 94% of undergraduate students who are being provided with data. It is expected that data provision will decrease over the next few months as more students return to campus and so have access to campus networks and Wi-Fi. A tender to supply and deliver laptops to NSFAS students was re-advertised on the 4th of September 2020 and closed on the 21st of September. By the closing date, a total of 140 bid proposals had been received. NSFAS is currently evaluating the bid proposals with the awarding of the tender estimated to be completed by the 31st of October this year. NSFAS has conducted workshops and engagements with student leadership to spearhead this project while the tender process is underway. Once a service provider has been appointed, or service providers, the learning devices will be delivered directly to students, either as per the address provided on the acknowledgement of debt or request for digital learning device form, or to their respective campuses if they have returned to campuses. Only contact NSFAS students funded under the Department of Higher Education and Training Bursary Scheme who are currently registered for the 2020 academic year at universities and TVET colleges will qualify to receive a device. NSFAS also welcomed further collaboration with pre-funding agencies. Just to explain, pre-funding agencies are those institutions who are supporting poor students but using the NSFAS platform to do that. So these pre-funding agencies who wish to opt onto the scheme based on the availability of the budget and their associated conditions are very much welcomed. And they must notify NSFAS in writing if they wish to do so. All potential recipients of the digital learning devices as well as the implementing institutions are subject to the guidelines and must abide by the rules outlined in the guidelines. We urge students and parents to familiarize themselves with these guidelines on the NSFAS website. On universities, following the President's announcement that the country would move to Alert Level 1, I am pleased to say that we are now in a position to welcome back 100% of our university students, including all those international students who are currently outside the borders of South Africa. All universities are implementing their plans to return all students and staff from the 1st of October, subject to any restriction linked to their own risk assessment due to their local context and conditions. It must be noted, however, that COCTA prescriptions do apply, including the safety and hygiene protocols. In addition, we'll now also be able to move a 50% occupancy of rooms up to a maximum of 250 persons indoor at a time, with ventilation of rooms remaining very critical. As a sector, we'll also allow the hosting of outside gatherings, up to 500 people at a time, as per the guidelines announced by the President. With respect to international students returning who remain outside of our country, they will need to meet the requirements of the COCTA regulations. It's important, which includes having a test not older than 72 hours showing that they are negative on arrival in South Africa. If not, they will need to go into quarantine at their own expense for at least 10 days before proceeding to their respective institutions. As I've indicated in previous briefings, universities have been implementing their own return strategies in line with their level of readiness and their context. And each institution has taken its own different approach, and we have maintained contact with all our institutions as well as universities South Africa. And we continue to monitor the situation and receive reports from our universities. And I am very grateful for the support of our institutions who have agreed to be part of this process and who have been submitting regular reports. In terms of the most recent monitoring report, the 7th such report as of the 17th of September this year, the total number of positive COVID-19 cases reported by institutions is 1,979. Of these, 1,215 are staff and 764 are students. 245,652 students had been issued with permits to come onto campuses for teaching and learning and research purposes. This amounts to approximately 40% of the contact student population. Some institutions were still implementing the phased return of the first 66% of students to their campuses when the announcement for the move to level 1 was made. On a daily basis, 70,815 individual staff and students were screened entering university campuses in the 2 periods between the 8th and the 22nd of September. It does appear that students with permit are indeed returning to institutions, which is a positive and welcome development. The number of daily screenings is also linked to the management of activity on campuses, in that students are not all arriving on campus every day, but are attending campus when it is necessary and following the necessary protocols. In my previous media statement, I indicated that in our monitoring of the system, we had implemented a risk dashboard to check the likelihood of institutions effectively completing the academic year while providing all students with a fair opportunity of success. We therefore use the color red, once more, DM, for institutions that are at a high risk, you know. I don't know why the color red is always about danger and about high risk, you know. Some of us feel particularly offended by this. But red in our instance means institutions that are at high risk for not completing the academic year effectively. Orange for those who are at a medium risk, and this is not the new Orlando Pirates away jersey, and green for those who are on track to complete.
This is the old Orlando Pirates.
Can you please come and sort out? There may be a problem beginning to emanate now, right from the front desk. I'm pleased to say that my department has held one-on-one engagements with all those institutions who are at high or medium risk of completion and has been providing ongoing support. As at the 17th of September, the picture had moved, progressed, changed somewhat, with 7 institutions in the medium risk category and 19 that are at low risk. Currently, no institutions remain at high risk, which is progress. For the universities at medium risk, general observations are that they still have some way to go to complete their first semester program. Summative assessments where these are required have yet to begin. All these institutions, a significant number of students, seem still not fully engaged in teaching and learning programs. It is anticipated, however, that with the students now, all of them returning, the necessary catch-up will be made with students now being on campus so that we make sure that no student is left behind. In terms of completion of the 2020 academic year, 10 universities aim to complete the academic year before the end of the 2020 calendar year. 4 universities plan to end in January 2021. 7 universities plan to complete in February 2021. And 5 universities plan to complete in March 2021. This staggered ending of the academic year is linked to the ability to support students and to ensure that all students have been given a reasonable opportunity to succeed. There were some institutions that were not able to start their academic year effectively before the lockdown, and that is also reflected in this staggered end to the academic year. Lastly, we anticipate that the results from the National Senior Certificate examination will be announced on 23rd of February next year. As a result, our start of the new academic year for first-year students will be staggered between the 8th of March 2021 and the 12th of April 2021. We will continue to monitor and engage with all institutions in relation to their plans for the completion of the academic year. What this means is that we are really in a very tight situation to finish this current academic year. And also, it will put pressure already on the 2021 academic year. So we urge really all stakeholders to make sure that every minute of learning and teaching is used appropriately. On return to residencies, in terms of residencies, there were 54,561 students living in university-owned residences by the 22nd of September. This is approximately 48% of the residence capacity, with 121,000 beds across the system. In addition, institutions reported that there were a further 49,360 students living in university-leased and managed accommodation, just over 21,000 students living in university-accredited private accommodation, and about 34,500 students living in other forms of private accommodation. Some institutions have indicated that not all students are taking up their invites to return to campuses, preferring to work remotely. We will need to study this situation very closely. While we understand and accept this, given the fear that parents and students still have, we want to encourage parents and students to ensure that teaching and learning is not compromised, as we would not like to see a lower pass rate in this academic year to the extent that we can help it. That was universities. On TVET colleges, as indicated in my media briefing for lockdown level 2, all TVET students had returned to campuses by 27 July 2020 to resume teaching and learning, practicals, internal assessment, and national examinations. I am pleased to confirm that all of these activities at our TVET colleges have been undertaken thus far whilst observing the strict health protocols of COVID-19. Colleges have ensured the wearing of masks, maintained physical distancing for the conduct of classes, and made provision for sanitizing and washing of hands. Referral systems and the management of positive cases have been implemented with support from Higher Health across all campuses nationally. I am pleased that the recorded infection rates among TVET students has been comparatively low, even during the national peak. The credit must go to the college management, to administrative staff, to the workers and students themselves, who have shown immense keenness to complete the studies for which they have registered since the start of the 2020 academic year. As of the 28th of September 2020, the NATED N1 to N6 engineering students have written their examinations in July. In August and September, these students have registered for trimester 2. Their examinations will be written in December 2020, as planned. The N4 to N6 business studies semester students began their examinations in September, which will be concluded on the 23rd of October 2020, after which they will go into recess until the start of the 2021 academic year. NCV students are busy with their internal assessments and are on track to write their final exams starting on the 10th of November 2020. I trust that this time will be used from the 23rd of October until the end of the academic year to engage in fruitful and innovative professional activities, such as improving skills to support students remotely, developing creative and innovative learning materials, and designing high-quality student assessments so that we improve the standard and quality of internal assessments. This is very important to improve our pass and certification rates in TVET colleges. For the 2020 grade 12 learners who wish to study at TVET colleges in 2021, we have communicated that these learners must apply immediately to the colleges. As a result of the late release of grade 12 results, which is scheduled for the 23rd of February 2021, asikwazi ukumosha umakhelwane Ishmael, uMinister we-Basic, it's 23rd. New students registering for the N4 NATED programs will be enrolled either for trimester 2 for engineering studies, which will begin in May 2021, or for semester 2 for business studies, which will begin in July 2021. This means that the 2021 academic calendar is not altered, but at the same time makes adequate provision for both returning and new students to undertake their studies in 2021 within a normal academic cycle. On community education and training, community colleges reopened on the 24th of August to receive students in all programs, as well as all staff, except for the staff over 60 years of age, as well as those with comorbidities. This excludes my deputy minister next to me here. In the latter regard, the DPSA has issued a circular that guides the management of staff with comorbidities during lockdown level 1. Due to the shared infrastructure utilization, the department issued a revised calendar aligned to the academic calendar of the Department of Basic Education that is implemented by the provincial departments of education. The community colleges are implementing the curriculum recovery plan so as to ensure that students are being prepared for the examinations at the end of the year. This is done in consultation with the Department of Basic Education and the provincial education departments, as examinations for the General Education and Training Certificate and the Senior Certificate are administered by them. The last issue I would like to deal with relates to sector education and training authorities, the SETAs. Alert Level 1 will ensure increased activities of the skills development in the country when we publish risk-adjusted strategy for a phased-in return of skills development activities tomorrow, the 29th. My apologies. We have already issued risk-adjusted strategy implementable from yesterday, the 29th of September. My apologies. We directed already that a maximum of 100% learner population be allowed to return. We directed that skills development providers be given 2 weeks waiting period from the date of announcement by the President in order to allow the state of readiness to welcome a maximum of 100% learners. Indlela, which is our trade artisan trade test center, have opened electronic applications processes for artisan recognition of prior learning and trade testing from the 28th of September. On-site applications based on prior appointment for an applicant who does not have the required information technology capacity will be implemented once the cleaning capacity challenges within the department is resolved. We really do urge our uncertificated artisans, but who are basically doing artisan work, to subscribe to this recognition of prior learning program. And there are many of them, by the way. Sometimes we call them all sorts of names in our township language, but the fact of the matter is that many of them are very, very skilled, yet they are not certificated. Currently, the SETAs are also involved in an exercise of assessing the number of learners returning for their workplace-based learning programs with the employers. In August 2020, I also retabled the SETA revised annual performance plans in Parliament due to the estimated decline in the skills levy collections from 19.4 billion rands to 11.2 billion, a reduction of 8.122 billion, that is 42% incurred as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic tax relief measures. It is against this background that I have called upon employers to open up their workplaces for workplace-based learning programs and increase investment in skills development. I would like, therefore, to take this opportunity to thank the entire post-school education and the science and innovation sector for their continued contribution and support. That we are on alert level 1 does not mean we are on alert level 0 or alert level -1. It means we still need to remain vigilant in all these areas of our post-school education and training sector. Thank you very much, Ishmael.
Thank you very much, Minister. We are now coming to the second part of our media briefing, where we'll allow members of the media to ask questions arising from the statement by the Minister. We have Ishmael on the telephone, as I've said, and Matikweni on WhatsApp. I'll start with Ish. Do we have any callers, Ishmael?
Thanks, Chair. We don't have callers at this moment.
Thank you very much, Matikweni.
Thank you, Ishmael. We do not have any questions at this stage.
Thank you very much. This is a clear indication that the statement by the Minister was very clear, that we don't have any further questions. The statement has been distributed already to the members of the media, to the public. It is available on our website of both the departments, and for members of the media who have not as yet received it, please do check on your mails from our database. You will receive the statement if you are part of it. For those who are not, you can get in touch with us. We will be able to send the statement. May I just check once more, Raish, do we still have any calls?
No calls, Chairperson.
No calls. Matikweni for the second time?
No questions. There is someone typing, but they haven't sent the question.
They haven't sent the question.
The country can't wait.
Yeah, unfortunately, we would have to come to the end of our media briefing, as there is a media briefing that will be taking place post this media briefing. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the two DGs who are here, Higher Health, the DDGs of both the departments, members of the media colleagues from both the departments and GCIS for your support and coordination. We thank you very much for your time in putting up this. We also thank the SAPC for the broadcast. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga.